What's that up in the sky? It's a bird? It's a plane? No. It's another episode of Heads Up Display. Finally, after all this time. That's right, HUD buds. We're back from our hiatus. And this time around, we'll be kicking off an all-new segment, exploring our favorite Easter eggs, and of course, giving our score to your favorite television shows, movies, and video games. It's all shown here on your Heads Up Display.
Look at me, Mario! Nobody's faster than me!
Welcome back to another episode of Heads Up Display, where we say great reviewing comes with great responsibility. I'm Bats.
And I'm Casey Smith. Batman, have you ever been on an Easter egg hunt?
Yeah, I have. I always lose.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, you're not. Every year, that bunny always outsmarts me. I can't even see him. He moves so fast.
Well, how about we go on an Easter egg hunt of our own? Through some TV shows, movies, and video games. That way, everybody wins. Will that cheer you up?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's the spirit, buddy. In honor of the holidays, here are some favorite Easter eggs from across entertainment media.
Hola, HUD buds. I'm Gage Garrett, and let's go hunting. Easter egg hunting, that is. In this segment, we're going to cover some of our favorite Easter eggs from video games, movies, and television shows. Let's get this party started. Easter eggs in every form of media entertainment have become incredibly popular. Whether it's a subtle nod to other characters or worlds, or foreshadowing for impending events, one thing is for certain: fans love Easter eggs. Let's start off with our top 3 Easter eggs from video games. Coming in at number 3, if you are a fan of Naughty Dog games, you probably know about this one. It's the Last of Us teaser in Uncharted 3. After the bar brawl in Uncharted 3, you go over towards the dartboard. You will see a newspaper, and on that newspaper, the headline is, "Scientists are still struggling to understand deadly fungus." This is the general premise of The Last of Us and was teased back in 2011 in Uncharted 3 before The Last of Us was released in 2013. Talk about teasing way early. Coming in at number 2 on our list is a fun one from Zelda: Ocarina of Time. If you're familiar with Zelda, odds are that you've played more than your fair share of video games created by Nintendo. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and think it's safe to say that you've heard of that plumber fellow, Mario. That's kind of what I thought. Well, what you might not know is that Ocarina of Time gives a nod to Mario and co.
Oh my god.
While you're in Princess Zelda's courtyard, if you look through one of the windows, you will see portraits of Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Peach, and Bowser. You just have to stand at all of the right angles to see them all. Or use a mod, like in this example. Not that we're going to recommend that. Anyways, on to our number 1 video game Easter egg. Drum roll. It's Conan! No, not the Barbarian, O'Brien, the famous talk show host. We at Heads Up Display are fans of the big guy, and his cameo in Halo 4 with his co-host Andy Richter is awesome. In the 6th mission of Halo 4, there are 2 guards near a forklift. They appear ordinary at first, but if you wait around until after the lady speaks over the intercom, and then you approach the guards, you'll be pleasantly surprised to hear that the guards are having a conversation, and the voice work was done by Conan and Andy.
Don't you think rugs would warm this up a little bit?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Just like, literally, I'm not talking wall to wall, but like 5 area rugs.
Mm-hmm.
Or some oriental rugs. And you know what? Suddenly it's a whole different vibe in here.
Awesome, right? That wraps up our video game Easter eggs, so now let's go ahead and move on to our movie Easter eggs. We call our number 3 pick for movies Raiders of the Lost Bots. Get it? Probably not yet, but you will. Did you know that R2-D2 and C-3PO don't just exist in Star Wars? They also are in Indiana Jones. The Star Wars robots make 2 appearances in Raiders of the Lost Ark. First, the pair noticeably shows up on a sort of hieroglyphs on the pillar right as Indy finds the Ark. Then, shortly after this moment, there's an even bigger depiction of the two on the wall behind Jones and Salah as they lift the Ark. This one also features Princess Leia, who is kneeling next to R2-D2 as she presumably uploads data with C-3PO. At least George Lucas is good to fans about his Easter eggs. Coming in at number 2 for movies is from The Departed. In Martin Scorsese's film The Departed, there's a lot of symbolism, which is basically a more elegant way of saying Easter egg. In this case, the use of X is foreshadowing for death. Spoiler alert, if you have seen The Departed, you basically know everybody dies, but what you may not have known is that all the characters that die have an X in the shot with them at some point or another in the movie. Right here. Here's Jack in the beginning, and he's gone. Leo at the airport, Damon on his balcony, boom, headshot. Well, this one with Martin Sheen is a little bit more obvious, but nevertheless, it did happen. The only one to survive the movie was Mr. Good Vibrations himself, Marky Mark. So grab the Funky Bunch, Mr. Wahlberg, and get on to your next one-hit wonder. Number 1 for our movies is Marvel. The end. Just kidding, but isn't it obvious? Marvel Easter eggs have become a tradition in the films. From awesome cameos from great people like Stan Lee and Stan Lee. Oh look, Stan Lee again. More Stan Lee. Yep. And you know what? Enough of this. To more subtle references like Captain America's shield in the background of the first Iron Man movie. When it comes to Easter eggs in cinema, Marvel comes out on top. This wraps up our movie segment. Now let's get on to TV. Our number 3 Easter egg for TV is the countdown to Marshall's father's death in How I Met Your Mother. How I Met Your Mother is one of the more popular sitcoms of the 2000s, so they had plenty of time for great running gags and Easter eggs. This one is really dark though. In the episode of Marshall's father's death, if you look closely in each scene in that episode, we see they count down from 50 to 1. 50 being on the calendar of Lily and Marshall's doctor's desk, and 1 being on the cab that Lily steps out of when she delivers the bad news to Marshall.
My dad's dead? I'm not ready for this.
Don't be sad though. You can always catch Marvin Erickson Sr. over in Bikini Bottom, as he's the voice by beloved cartoon character Patrick Star.
Hello?
I love you.
All right, Pinhead, your time is up.
Who you calling Pinhead?
Coming in at number 2 for TV is The Breaking Dead. AMC is home to TV powerhouse shows Mad Men, Breaking Bad, and The Walking Dead. Did you know that the worlds are all actually intertwined? Just kidding, but that doesn't keep the folks over at AMC from still making us fans think so. In Season 2 of The Walking Dead, the group on The Walking Dead are in need of antibiotics to stop a blood infection for one of their own, T-Dog. Lovable redneck heartthrob Daryl Dixon reveals that his brother had a bunch of meds and stuff on his motorcycle because he was a bit of a junkie. Daryl pulls out the bag, and in the bottom of that bag you can see Walter White's famous Blue Sky meth. Aw, snap. I guess this just goes on to prove that Walter White did start the zombie apocalypse. There is no reason for us to have a spin-off now. Case closed. Our number 1 Easter egg for TV is Michael Keaton on Community. Just kidding, but it was a character he used to play. Community has some of the funniest and most well-placed jokes of any sitcom, and this one is fantastic. Over the course of 3 random episodes on the show, the name Beetlejuice is used in conversation. It is very nonchalant and natural. If you've ever heard the story of Beetlejuice or seen the movie, if you say his name 3 times, he will appear before you, and he is a deceptive monster being thing. So after the 3rd time that they say Beetlejuice in the random episode of Community, you have to look closely, but Beetlejuice walks by in the background of the conversation. It is funny little stuff like this that makes Community one of our favorite sitcoms and worthy of the number 1 spot for our TV Easter egg segment.
What's the blonde's name? Bitter Butter Beetlejuice?
Don't you usually wear the stripy turquoise Beetlejuice numbers?
But Spooky Party, the Beetlejuice soundtrack, and NPR podcast.
That's going to wrap up our HUD hunt for Easter eggs. My name is Gage Garrett. Thank you for tagging along. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Hey guys, I'm Josh Engard, and today we'll be reviewing a TV show that's practically become a cultural phenomenon, as well as an endless supply of one-liners and inside jokes. Here's our review for Archer. At first glance, you would think that the world's most dangerous spy would be a cool, suave, controlled James Bond type of guy. In the case of Sterling Archer, you'd be dead wrong. Archer follows Sterling Archer and his escapades as the world's most dangerous spy. At least that's what he likes to call himself. His employment at the very inconspicuous spy agency called the International Secret Intelligence Service, or ISIS, interesting to say the least. ISIS acts as a base of operations for all of Archer's equally dysfunctional co-workers: Cyril, Pam, Cheryl, who sometimes likes to be called Carol, Krieger, Lana, Ray, and Sterling's mother, Mallory Archer. All of these characters have different personalities, which are clearly and hilariously communicated through the fantastic voice acting. The shenanigans that these spies, secretaries, and scientists get up to are almost indescribable, which provides a great sense of immersion, because the characters often express the same disbelief that the viewer does when increasingly ridiculous plot developments happen. While this show has a multitude of different episodes, the lives of the characters have shown a fairly strong sense of continuity from episode to episode, as any changes or accidents that have happened to any of the characters are bound to be revisited in some sort of argument later in the season. The animation in this series is top-notch, and the inside jokes, recurring characters, and entertaining subplots do wonders for the show's immersion. And with that, we give Archer 9.5 Lanas out of 10.
Lana. 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 Lana! What?
Colonel, this is Snake. I'm infiltrating the enemy base now.
HQ? Hey guys, I'm Gage Garrett.
And I'm Riley Dees, and we'll be reviewing a new take on an old classic and a horror movie that is refreshing for the fans of this genre.
Here's our reviews of Cinderella, and it follows.
Cinderella mirrors the classic grim tale of an underappreciated girl dreaming of meeting a prince who gets her wish granted by a fairy godmother. The fact that basically everyone knows what's going to happen doesn't distract from the enjoyment of this movie, as the actors each bring a unique light to their characters, and the story still manages to bring the enchanting world of Cinderella to life. The cinematography shined in many scenes, especially those that take place in the forest, and the effects combined with the camera work to make very impressive magical effects. Cinderella retells the classic fairy tale in this movie, and adds to it a strong score, entertaining characters, and enchanting magical effects. This remake is a must-see for Disney fans old and new, and we give Cinderella 8.6 bibbidi-bobbidi-boos out of 10.
It Follows is a strange horror movie that doesn't disappoint and doesn't settle for commonly used horror tropes. The story follows, get it? Anyway, the story follows a girl named Jay and the progressively strange events that happen after her first intimate relationship with her new boyfriend. Apparently, there is now something following Jay, slowly, never stopping, always coming straight towards her. Spooky, right? The movie uses this spookiness to make the audience feel on edge throughout the movie, which adds to the story even more. The acting is probably the most lackluster part of the movie, though the lead had a fairly strong performance. Despite some of the mild acting hiccups, the tense and creepy atmosphere of the majority of the scenes is clearly communicated. What helped this movie immensely for me was the score. I love the 80s retro sound, and I think it really helped pile on the desire for the terrifying tone. It Follows is a refreshing break from the other generic horror flicks, and we give it 7.8 bone-chilling zombie walks out of 10.
It could look like someone you know, or it could be a stranger in a crowd. Whatever helps it get close to you.
Hi guys, I'm Jacob Hicks.
And I'm Eric Kennedy.
And we're reviewing 3 current games that can easily quench your appetite for action and thrills. Here's our reviews for Hotline Miami 2 Wrong Number, Battlefield Hardline, and Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
Dragon Ball Xenoverse puts the player under control of a hero of time, equipped with a scouter instead of a Triforce, that aids Trunks in stopping an evil force from disrupting the Dragon Ball Z timeline. The gameplay centers around a 360-degree arena-style fight, in which a multitude of characters from the series fight alongside your warrior through what-if scenarios from the popular TV series and anime. The controls are fairly easy to learn, and a great variety of new moves and costumes are waiting to be unlocked, which encourages replayability. The sounds from the game are all used of assets of the TV show, so every single beam, teleportation, and Saiyan-induced burst of energy sounds over the top and awesome. Just as it should. The graphics recreate the show's environments and characters very well, and the character creation aspect lets you enjoy customizing your hero at the beginning, which just adds icing to the cake. While this game may seem a bit over the top to people who aren't fans of Dragon Ball, any Saiyan worth their sensu beans must have this game. With that, we give Dragon Ball Xenoverse a score of... What? Over 9,000?
What? There's no way that could be right.
Oh, actually you're right. We give Dragon Ball Xenoverse a power level of 8 out of 10.
Oh.
Vegeta, what does the scouter say about his power level? It's over 9,000! What, 9,000?
Battlefield Hardline is basically Battlefield 4 without the major issues that, in my opinion, plague the game in general. The game has a single-player campaign that actually means something this time around, and mirrors a cops and robbers drama. Its story is told in episodes, and tells of a fresh-faced cop named Nick Mendoza as he becomes a member of the Miami PD. The story isn't much, but it's better than campaigns of other primary online shooters. The gameplay is that of your standard FPS. The player is always trying to be quicker and more deadly than their opponent. The game, however, does attempt to spice this up and adds new modes and more fast-paced conditions. The replayability of online is very high, since each match is a high-speed climb to the top. It's hard to keep up and beat your opponent. On the other hand, the replayability of the story mode is quite low, despite more time being spent on it than in past installments. The sound design is fairly strong, and helps the player feel immersed in the world. The guns, cars, explosions, crumbling buildings all sound like they should. The Frostbite 4 engine renders the graphics beautifully, and many venues that firefights take place have very distinct flavors in regards to texture and atmosphere. All in all, this game is a strong SPS, and should be a favorite for fans of the genre. We give Battlefield Hardline a 7.5 bad boys out of 10.
2070 SWAT team, move in.
If you enjoy hyper-violent Twitch gameplay that boasts a psychedelic 90s feel and a booming soundtrack, then Hotline Miami 2 Wrong Number is the right for you. The story differs from the first Hotline Miami game in that it switches from a number of protagonists, each with a knack for violence. A gang of signature mass murderers, an ex-Russian mafia member, a loose cannon detective, and a troubled movie star all experience the painful world of Hotline Miami and journey through a more concrete story filled with violence, but a small amount of commentary on the period of time it spans, as well as the problems of corruption, betrayal, and violence. Probably the most interesting member of the cast is a reporter who only wishes to investigate the brutal mass murderers of the past and present, and only takes out threats through non-lethal means. He is easily the most interesting character that Hotline Miami has ever tackled, as he often repels in shock and disgust, just like any right-minded human would, at the scale of violence and anger that is in this game. The gameplay centers around Twitch reactions and skill, making it a frustrating but rewarding experience throughout the game. Soundtrack is by far one of the most excellent parts of the game, as it pumps adrenaline and energy through the player's mind until a level is complete. And all that's around you is a dreadful scene of violence that's only accompanied by the drone of fluorescent lights. The replayability is fairly low for casual gamers, as each level is very challenging, but very high for people who need to get the highest ratings in each level, since earning a high score in every level is so satisfying. The graphics focus on a 16-bit pixely style of animation, but that does not hinder the game's psychedelic 90s image. HUD firmly states that this game is very, very violent and unflinching about its content. Having said that, we give it 7.5 animal masks out of 10.
Oh, DJ, ease my mind, will you play that song again?
Dude, check it out. Free bird! Free bird! Free bird! Oh my god! Yeah! Woo! Free bird! Woo!
Well, that's it for this episode of Heads Up Display. Thanks for watching.
Keep up to date on everything Heads Up Display by checking our org sync page. There you can find links to our website. Also, we're updating the website with new content. Heads Up Display now has a podcast. Tune in on the website and hear more from our staff and their thoughts on the most recent issues in entertainment media. For now, I'm Casey Smith.
And I'm Bats. Happy Easter to those who celebrated. And this has been Heads Up Display.